Okay, carry on. Oh, wait a minute. Well,
This is fucking insane. Right, that's enough of it.
No,
I don't know what we're doing.
fuck
I don't know who's going to learn anything from this.
Wait. Okay. Okay.
Oh, it's there.
Listen, okay, to anyone who doesn't understand, this is really difficult. I can't tell you.
Yeah.
So, the Marvels bombed. To quote someone from Twitter, you mean a sequel to a movie nobody really liked, about a character nobody liked, filled with 2 direct-to-video leads of shows nobody watched, about a plot line nobody cares about anymore, didn't make bank? Yes. From The Hollywood Reporter, quote, "The Marvels box office debut is anything but marvelous. For Marvel Studios and Disney, the superhero tentpole opened to an estimated $47 million at the domestic box office to rank as the worst start in the history of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. It also came in behind expectations overseas, where it launched with $63.3 million for 51 material markets for a global start of $110.3 million against a hefty $200 million production budget. In case you're wondering, yes, Marvels did worse than The Flash. The Flash brought in $55 million domestically and $75 million in the global markets for a total of $130 million opening weekend. This is just embarrassing on so many levels, foremost of which is that for a decade, the MCU could do no wrong. The franchise's 33 films, Jesus Christ, brought in more than $30 billion. However, since Avengers Endgame, things have been different. The change in direction for the MCU, not just in terms of popular characters being swapped out or the lackluster shows and movies, but also the focus on playing identity politics over telling interesting stories, resulted in people losing interest in the MCU. Whoever could have predicted this? Excuse me? Everyone? Everyone. No, I'm sorry, I don't know that word. See, I was told this would be ultra successful because when Marvel Comics decided to do the same thing a decade ago with their all new, all different books, it resulted in massive sales for the comic book industry. I'm sorry, what was that? It made less money, destroyed titles, made the industry financially and creatively stagnant, and now they're being outsold by what? Young adult graphic novels and manga. Well, sir, I don't believe you. That can't possibly be true because I was told by reliable sources within the comic book industry who would never lie about numbers anyone could easily look up that the all-new, all-different Marvel books were mega popular, with Captain Marvel being the most popular best-selling character ever, just like her movie. Like The Hollywood Reporter says, quote, "The 33rd installment of the MCU is a sequel to the 2019 Brie Larson star Captain Marvel, which opened to $153.4 million in North America, on its way to earning a massive $1.13 billion worldwide, not adjusted for inflation. That movie had a clear advantage in that it was teased in the post-credit scenes of 2018's Avengers Infinity War, while its titular character was a player in 2019's Avengers Endgame. It was released between the 2 Marvel mega blockbusters." Oh, so you mean that Captain Marvel made bank because it was the last solo MCU film before the grand finale of Endgame, and people went to see it because Disney told them they needed to see it in order for Endgame to make sense. If only people had been saying that for only the last, 5 years. It turns out that people really aren't fans of Captain Marvel, either the movie or the books. Of course, we all know the usual suspects on the left will cry misogyny, but that argument doesn't fly anymore thanks to the Barbie movie. Women came out to see that movie and crushed box office expectations, much to the chagrin of the usual suspects on the right. There's no reason women couldn't do the same with the Marvels, unless they're not interested in this movie. Based on some of the reports coming out, the bulk of the audience who did see the movie was male, about 60%, so you really can't blame this on men, although some people will try. Quote, "The Marvels is unique for a superhero film in that it stars 3 female leads. It was directed by Nia DaCosta, who is the first black woman to direct a Marvel Studios movie, as well as the youngest director of an MCU film. The film having 3 female leads or being directed by a woman isn't the problem. It's the boring characters, the tone of the trailers, and the sense that all of those involved in making the film see the film, the MCU, and the superhero genre as a joke. There's a lack of sincerity at play, like they're making fun of people who are liking superhero stories. Contrast that with something like Deadpool, which is absolutely taking the piss out of superheroes, but comes from a place of sincerity, where the jokes are about the silliness of the situations and tropes, not the people who like these stories. Everybody knows that superheroes are kinda silly. Their powers are goofy, the whole thing is ridiculous. That's what makes it fun. However, if you want to tell stories that interest an audience, it helps to take it seriously. That's where you get the best stories, where the writers aren't winking at the audience, but treating the world and the genre with the same seriousness and sincerity as they would a thriller, a drama, or a mystery. That's why people came out to see the MCU movies, even with the Whedon-esque one-liners and the played-out Marvel formula. They weren't there for the filmmakers, writers, or actors to make some grand statement about diversity and representation, or to treat the audience like half-wits. They were there to follow their favorite characters as the story built to this incredible crescendo that no one had ever seen before, not so that they can hear about someone being the first black woman to direct an MCU movie. That's not what brings people out to theaters, and people have said this for years. However, for the people who want to play the sexism card, Chris Gore made this excellent point on Twitter, quote, "Turning Marvel and Star Wars into girl brands will prove to be one of the costliest decisions in entertainment history." And he's right. The moment Disney made the move to play to an audience that tends not to be interested in science fiction and superheroes, they crashed Star Wars and the MCU. But it's worse than you think. Disney bought Marvel precisely because Disney itself had become a girl brand. Disney used to have broad appeal, but by the late 90s and early 2000s, most of their programming and marketing was geared towards girls. Disney bought Marvel to compensate for that, to bring in a male audience. Yet the moment they achieved that success, in came the demand from the usual suspects that the comics and movies needed to change to be more inclusive. In what world does it make sense to undermine this $30 billion success by getting rid of characters everybody likes, replacing them with token knockoffs of Mary Sue's, and telling stories where the whole purpose seems to be to make fun of people for liking this stuff? That's bound to cost you money and your audience, and the Marvels cratering at the theater proves this. Now, another angle I've seen to explain the low turnout was this, quote, "The cast of the Marvels wasn't able to do any promotion or publicity because of the SAG-AFTRA strike, although Larson and her co-stars sprung into action Thursday after the strike ended. Larson appeared on The Tonight Show on Friday, while she and her co-stars surprised fans at various screenings of the movie in New York City opening weekend." Yeah, that's not the problem. People either want to see the movie or they don't. The actors not appearing on TV shows barely anyone watches isn't the reason the Marvels bomb. It's because people didn't care about the characters or the movie. And that's really been the issue for the MCU franchise since Endgame. That was one hell of a build-up, and that's not something you can do again on the fly. It's going to take some time to make something on that scale again. The smarter move for Disney would have been to let the MCU rest for 5 or 10 years, work out how they're going to introduce the X-Men and Fantastic Four after buying Fox, and then figure out what major event they wanted to build towards featuring those characters. They didn't do that. Instead, they just wanted more of the same, and wound up putting out a lot of mediocre stories that people initially let slide, but after too many so-so shows and films, people started to bounce. And here we are now with the Marvels doing worse than The Flash. If it wasn't so funny, it'd almost be sad. But what do I know? I'm just some guy.